All right, everyone, welcome back to the No Limits podcast. I haven't done an episode in a very long time, and I'm so excited to be joined by these amazing guests, my friend Ellie and Gio. I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, and then we're just going to get straight into it like we do with every episode. So Ellie and Gio started a sourcing company called Saucy. They've been featured in the Australian Financial Review, Yahoo Finance. They've generated over $43 million in the last 3 years. They got a team of under 50 employees, half in Australia, from my understanding, and then half in China. So they're running their operations internationally as well, and I can't wait to find out about that. Other than that, I know these boys off camera, and they are some of the most genuine entrepreneurs that I've ever met, and I would love to consider them as good friends and people who I can bounce ideas off. And it's hard when you're running a business to find people you can relate to, and I'm always able to speak to them, and they always have time, which is crazy considering how busy they are. So I really do appreciate you guys jumping on. They essentially went from running a typical, startup business to very quickly scaling up to a quite a large company, and we're going to get straight into it. So, boys, I know that was a long intro, but you guys deserve that. Thank you for coming on.
You're making us feel special.
Yeah, because you are special.
Thank you, Leo. Thanks so much. And honestly, it's such a privilege to be here. Like an honor.
With COVID, and I know we've been trying to make it happen for a while as well. So it's actually good to be able to sit here and do it.
Yeah, because I know that for like a long time, we had known each other on social media, and then we got connected through a mutual friend. And it was weird because when I got connected to you guys, I didn't realize it was because I came across you years before.
No way.
Yeah, I came across you years before. I'm like, oh, this guy seems like cool. He's doing something interesting. And then we got connected down the line. One of our mutual friends, Vlad, was like, you need to interview these boys. So I reached out to you, and I'm like, wait, we've spoken on Instagram before, right? Do you remember that?
You didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And now every Friday you boys are doing your Instagrams.
And it was funny because Ellie, you would tell me I you would watch all my stuff, and then now it's like the script is flipped. I'm now like a fan of you guys. I'm like a fanboy. So it's just a testament to how incredible you are. But the audience doesn't know all of this, and they don't understand the context of where I'm coming from, but I want them to understand. And so let's jump right into it. First question I've got for you is, I want to know about the startup. Okay, how Saucy came about, who got the idea, how did you guys come together, what were your first steps into the business?
For sure. Gia, do you want to?
Far away. It was kind of interesting how it happened, because it was there was something called a Melbourne Accelerator program, and it's where the Melbourne University pretty much creates an incubator, puts all these ex-students or alumni on stage, and they present their business ideas. And I actually went with my partner, and I was sitting there, I was like, fuck, I could come up with a better idea.
Yeah.
And we ended up leaving. I just kept talking about, what if we did this, and then this, and then the next day I had a whiteboard in my office, and I just started writing the word Saucy down in all these different ways. I was like, maybe there's something here.
Just Saucy.
Just the word Saucy written just all different ways. And I was like, what if there was a company that could help people, find manufacturers overseas and remove that level of risk from when it comes to finding factories overseas.
So when you started writing the word Saucy, were you thinking about sourcing, or were you was that just like a name?
Do you know what it was? I wanted to create, originally the original business idea was, we wanted to create the Alibaba of the West, right? So we wanted to create somewhere where you could go on a marketplace, you could find factories, you could order, right? And then over time we realized, and I went and spoke to entrepreneurs, successful business owners, and the same answer. They're like, if you want to start that type of business, you're going to need hundreds of millions of dollars. And I thought, I don't know enough about sourcing. I don't know enough about tech. Maybe there's a way we can start off by just doing that side of it, which is just finding the factories and sourcing it and manufacturing products. So the original concept was something fucking way bigger than what we ended up doing. And hopefully, who knows, maybe one day we'll get there. And I think there is a huge opportunity for whatever that marketplace is still.
Yeah.
But we just had to start slow. I thought I knew it all because I'd already been buying products from overseas, but when you really launch a sourcing business and manufacturing importing business, you know, it was like being humbled, right?
Yeah.
You've got to learn everything all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can put myself in the shoe of someone watching. And the one thing that I'd be thinking is like how like the idea of sourcing came to you in the first place, because it's quite random. Like a typical business idea someone would have is to start a cafe, maybe you know, open up something. It's the word
true.
sourcing is not.
It's
so
not
like,
normal.
Yeah, it's like why that? And was it you who came up with it first, Gio, and then mentioned it to Ellie, or was it like how did you come about that?
So what had happened was I knew I wanted a business that helped people. I didn't want to just jump into. And do you know what? I had about 4 different business ideas before it, and they all kind of just fizzled. You know, you're not in. Your heart's not there. You're not committed, so it doesn't work out. And with this, I was really like, fuck, you know, I can really help people with this. This is something that no one else. Don't get me wrong. After like 6 months of working on it, you Google sourcing company. There's other people who do it, right?
Yeah.
But we're so different from them as well. But at that time, it was like a brainwave. It was like, this is something people really need. This is something that I'm not aware of. It's something that I wish I had. How do we make it work? And that's pretty much the point I got to, where I mapped out a process. I created like a bit of a booklet. I went and spoke to one of my good friends. I said, hey, I just can't. I credit you because you've been able to build a successful business by yourself. I'm not that guy. I need someone in my team. I need someone that I can rely on, who I can work off. And I went to my housemate and I said, you know, do you want to do this with me? He goes, yeah, sure. I was like, fuck, sick. And then he's like, oh, we should probably get Ellie involved. And I was like, yeah, all right. Like, why not? I haven't seen him in a few years. Let's see what he's up to. And it was so funny where the housemate eventually just backed down. He goes, listen, it's not for me. And Ellie was just there day and night, you know, hustling.
Being Ellie.
Yeah. He's like super positive. He used to come to my house after he'd finished his job, and I'd watch him fall asleep at my dining room table trying to like take notes or write shit down. It's like, you know, he had that hustle from the start as well. So it was really easy to just say, you know what, you're the right person to do this with.
Yeah, it was the right suit. It was definitely, I was looking for something. I really admire Gio for what, I think one thing to come back to that question of why sourcing. I mean, Gio had a company before this in print products, and he'd actually go. I think the idea came from a pain point of his own as well. So just to go over that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that gives a bit of context there. Yeah.
I, you know, for us, when I had my printing business, we relied on trade printers, right? Local printers.
Yeah.
And Australia is so competitive that there was no margins. Like I'd make 10 or 15%.
Got it.
Like, fuck
okay.
it. Why don't I just buy these flags from China?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it was like I was making 70 or 80% margin. But every time it would come, I would have my fucking fingers crossed, being like, is it going to be right? Is this person legit? You're transferring. And when you're 22 and you're transferring someone that you've met on the internet for about 15 minutes and you've been going back and forth and their name's Joy and you know their name's not Joy. Yeah. And you got no idea who they are. It's scary as shit.
Okay, so it started with the printing, and then the pain point was identified there, and then the idea was like, okay,
how do we make it transparent? How do you remove that risk or that sick feeling you get where I just hope it comes right?
Okay,
you know?
cool. All right, now we've got our context.
That's it.
Thanks, you guys. All right, so now you've come up with the idea. Ellie's in. All right. And you guys, I'm sure of it, you had no idea it's going to be what it is today. Like you just had identified the problem. You wanted to try and solve it. Talk to me about like those first few weeks. Like what was that like? What was that journey like? And then what happened after that? Where the momentum start to build?
I feel like when I think about it now, I cringe at the shit we used to do at the start.
Yeah,
like, you know,
same.
Writing down dumb stuff and trying to, you know, it was really hard because, again, 2 guys, no supply chain experience, just trying to think, how the fuck do you do this? How do you make it that, you know, even something like finding someone overseas to do the work there, that was like months of work, you know, trying to interviewing people through Upwork that you find online, you know, trying to find the right ones who can speak enough English because we can't speak Mandarin, who you can trust, who you can build a relationship with. You know, the first year of the business, there was no business. Do you know what I mean? It was just doing...
It was just learning.
Yeah, just doing admin and trying to set shit up and trying to learn...
Making websites, trying to figure out what people want.
What year was this, by the way, guys?
This would have been late 2017, early 2018.
Yep.
I'd say.
So late 2017, the idea comes.
Yep.
Early 2018... the ball starts to move.
Yep.
And then you guys are like, all right, well, the first thing that came to your mind, we need to establish our presence overseas first, because that, I mean, yeah, that's the only way it's going to work is if you've got a trusted source overseas who can go verify, you know, where the goods are coming from.
Exactly.
Is that the first thing that you guys started to work on?
I'd say you do all the other shit like business cards and a website and
Start marketing. Gio, one of the amazing things that Gio does is he's just sort of shoot first, you know, find the client first. So he went out and within like a month or two found clients and started all the marketing and attracting people.
Got it.
And reaching out and all that sort of thing. And then at the same time in the background, we developed all like the collateral, the booklets, or the website, or everything else all at the same time, really. But there were two of us.
I think we were doing like fucking cultural Mandarin classes in the afternoons to make sure, like just trying to think, how do you do it? Like, how do you get to the factories? How do you speak to the people the right way? It's hard when you're interviewing someone in China about sourcing manufacturing when you don't speak Mandarin and you don't really know too much about sourcing and manufacturing. You know, you're really just trying to vibe out and make sure that there's someone that you can actually trust.
Got it.
You know, there's so much of just that, you know, and that takes so much of your time and your energy as well. It feels like you're just moving the needle just a little bit every day.
Yeah. That entire year was spent like creating a business organically from nothing with really something that's very new and that hasn't been seen before as well. So you can imagine the kind of difficulties we faced. But at the same time, we were both still working.
I was going to ask about that. Like, what was going? So you guys kept working. You worked at was it Metricon?
Metricon, yeah. In working, selling house and land packages around Melbourne in Metricon.
Not just selling. Mate, award winner.
Like, dude, it was
of course
setting records.
Yeah, you walk through the door with a smile and that energy. Everyone's signing. Yeah. If you walked in, I'd be like, I'm buying a house from that guy.
I trust that guy.
It was good. Yeah, that was all great and doing really well there. But at the same time, every waking moment outside of that, I was at Gio's house where he was living in East Bentley, in Melbourne. He had a spare room, 2-bedroom place. Our office was in the spare room.
Like a proper startup. Sorry, I love this.
You know what? And we made sure we've got so many good photos of when it was just this dingy room with 2 desks next to each other, secondhand desks, and we're just kind of like papers everywhere, half a scribbled on whiteboard.
Like that's like from the movies,
you know?
Like,
you know what I mean? Yeah. And then we went from that house to another house and worked from there for. I mean, I moved and I took it with me. You know, it took us forever to actually get our own office.
So you'd finish work, head straight to Gio's, and then you guys would just put in the hours, like just getting the ball rolling, right?
Exactly.
So, at what point did you guys like start to actually make your first dollar? When was that? And by the way, like when you guys say the first year, the end of 2017 to early 2018, what was the actual? Was it like from when you're saying the first year was spent building the business? Was that from the end of 2017 to the end of 2018?
100%.
That was literally just building. Like you weren't.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So nothing was really happening.
How many clients that first year?
We probably brought on less than 20 clients in a whole year, right? And we used to charge these clients like $250, which is like
$250,
$500
a month, or
no, that was it. We're just like, oh, sure, it's easy to get quotes. We'll just charge them a little bit up front to cover our time. And what we realized is we just had no idea, right? And it was just this kind of constantly hitting a wall.
It's the same thing with us, like, you know, charging like peanuts for a website, and you're like, oh my God.
And you look back and it's like, it's so obviis. Like, you know, and also the quality of people you attract when you start pricing your product for what it's worth.
True.
You know, we're attracting just absolute lemons.
Yeah.
And it was our fault. We're breaking our backs. We're doing all this work and we're getting nowhere as well.
Yeah. So essentially you guys would tell people, hey, because the fundamental idea is actually really easy to understand.
Yeah.
I'm interested in e-commerce, okay, and I know a lot of people who are watching are interested in e-commerce, and the idea is like, okay, well, e-commerce is all about online and digital marketing and a nice Shopify store and having great ads and great creatives, which is definitely a big piece of what makes it successful. But a part that a lot of e-com entrepreneurs don't actually pay attention to because they're so digitally inclined is where the products are coming from. And I think that's why dropshipping is so popular, because they don't have to have that headache, right, of actually genuinely sourcing their products from a legitimate supplier. Yeah. So I'm an e-com entrepreneur. I've got a great product. They would come to you guys, and then you would help find that legitimate manufacturer or supplier from overseas, and then so that you guys started charging you just charged $250. just to connect them, and
it's
then obviously you change your business model over time, which
do you
we'll
know
talk
what it
about.
is? You described all the sexy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who is in e-commerce loves all the sexy stuff. They love the ads, they love the marketing, they love the branding. We do all the heavy lifting, right?
Yeah.
We do the stuff that people don't really want to do, which is the sourcing of the factories, right? Not just finding a random one to work with, but the very best partner for them. The quoting, the landed cost analysis, sampling, even testing of products to make sure that they're compliant, the importing, the freight, the branding, the packaging,
everything.
all that stuff that actually makes the product, that's what we're responsible for. And we love doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't mind if we don't get to do the sexy branding or any of that stuff. It's, there's a buck to be made, and there's a lot of people that we can help doing the thing that, that is probably the most challenging of it all as well.
That's probably the most important as well. Like, say you're an e-commerce business, what do you sell? Like, that's your product. Whereas a lot of the successful ones, and we know a lot of the big successful multi-million-dollar revenue, e-commerce businesses, they focus on all that cool, sexy stuff. Their products, they don't even focus on their product. The product's not that great. It's just the marketing that sort of gets the upper hand. But then when you take that and you bring on a company like what we do, and you just supercharge the hell out of that product, and you just level it up. And there's a lot of improvements, or cut the price, cut 20-30% off. That's straight margin.
Minimize the chances of someone screwing you over from overseas, and because we work with so many e-com clients, I hear the nightmare stories, like, the money that they lose, sometimes money getting stolen, products not being what they're supposed to be, products not being let into the country for whatever reason. These are like the logistical issues that, people don't actually pay too much attention to in the e-com world. And again, I actually think that's one of the main reasons why dropshipping exists, because it's like, it takes that headache out for a lot of these e-commerce entrepreneurs as well. But for those who actually want to build a proper brand that's their product, and a product that solves a solution, not something that someone else is selling, not putting drop shipping down, it's great, but that's what
we do. We help build brands, more or less. And all those problems you talked about, all that stuff actually destroys your brand. It only takes one shipment of a product that's 50% faulty, and all of a sudden all your reviews go to 1 star, whatever it is, right? That is enough to kill your brand alone.
100% agree with you.
We remove that. We remove that headache completely for all our customers.
Understood. Cool. So you've got the core of the pain point there. It's established. You know what it is that you're trying to solve. You're at the end of 2018. You guys have spent 12 months doing your crazy hustle, kept your jobs. You're working. You're going to you're going to Gio's house. You're hustling, papers on the wall. I'm like trying to get the picture, and then charging your peanuts to get by. What then came after that? After that 12 months, what was the next turning point from there? That next milestone.
What would you say? I think we had a couple. So we started to really get into our groove and attract bigger, better clients that we were more suited for. So in your e-commerce space, some industrial, some construction, the steel, we had, there was a few turning points
significant projects. Yeah.
Significant projects that sort of went really, really well. And that kind of, in your business, you do get these pivotal moments that sort of change your trajectory really well.
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
I remember when I came back and I went and saw this client, we sold them the steel and this cabin home as well. And I just came back and smiled. I was like, I fucking did it.
Yeah.
I'm like, we did it. I'm like, it was, and for us, it was like a whole year's revenue plus a year before in one invoice.
Wow.
So it's just this thing where it's like, okay.
I love that.
Then, cold chills of like, okay, now don't fuck it up. Like, make sure it comes right and in one piece. And it's like, that was how it was. It was just that constant grind. And then we had, like Ellie said, the reason we didn't go hard and try to win all this work is, at the end of the day, it's someone else's money. They're paying for the product, even though we're making our money off that as well. I would never feel comfortable risking someone else's money in that sense, right? Like, we were so cautious of never having that one experience where someone opens a container and it's wrong or it doesn't work. And I think one thing that helped level us up, and when you win a big client, your mindset changes. That steel was for Vic Roads, right? So Vic Roads has the highest compliance in all of Australia in terms of testing, material coupons. You need to fly in certain welders who have certain universal licenses. We had a third-party testing company that was flown in from Australia to literally watch someone weld for 8 hours of a day.
Wow.
Days, yeah.
So once that arrived and it was fine and it was used, we were just like, if we can do this, what can't we do?
What can't you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is going to be that opportunities like that are like dream opportunities. They don't just fall on people's laps, or maybe it did. Maybe it did. Like what led to that coming about?
Do you know, it's funny actually. We had to. I have a friend who works in a civil engineering business, right? And he said, "Hey, come out and meet my boss." I told him what you do, and he wants to talk to you. And I got there, and I thought it was about civil products. And he goes, "I just bought this brand new apartment in Toorak, multimillionaire." And he goes, "I want to get all these little gold ants, like hundreds of them, made of bronze, and I want them to be stuck to my wall as a trail going to my bedroom." I was like, "What the fuck are you on about?" And he pulls one out. He's like, "I want about 300 of these."
What?
And we're just like, "Hey, let's just do it. Let's see what happens." Found the exact product, probably saved him 20 or 30 grand. And as soon as we did that, he goes, "All right, now I've got another project for you." And it was jute matting from India. And after we did that, he goes, "All right, now I've got a serious project for you." And it was the steel. Yeah. So it was like we had to almost prove ourselves. Don't get me wrong, those projects were still great for us to learn, and it was a great experience. But it was like he made the intro, my mate made the intro, and I think there was already that, that level of trust that you get. Like if I introduce you to someone, you know that I'm doing it. Of course,
yeah.
And then just building up, like, we executed every project so well that he's like, "All right, now here's something bigger."
Would you attribute the fact that you guys executed the project so well because you were so patient for 12 months, or
100%?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it wouldn't have worked otherwise.
First 12 months as well, like, because we were both two guys that didn't have heaps of experience or like education around the supply chain and what business that we're operating in. We took that time. We took it slowly so we could learn. And we on those smaller projects in the first year, like we made small mistakes. We learned. We understood the process. So yeah, when those big opportunities came a year later or a fair while later, we finally felt ready to capitalize on it.
It was still scary. Like at the end of the day, it was still, when it's your biggest project, it could have, if it came wrong, it would have destroyed us. We wouldn't be here today. But everything came perfectly. And that was literally that pivotal moment.
That was that pivotal moment. Yeah.
Right, let's grow this. Like, let's take it to the next level.
No, go for it.
Well, yeah, just on that, we had the right people in place. So we'd spent all that time. We had the right people overseas. We had the right companies. We had the right processes, all that sort of stuff. So you can't just start that overnight. So it does take that grind and preparation and taking your time.
What I'm really excited to is to go through this journey and then for the audience to see where you guys are now, and in such a short period of time. And it's one of those, like, people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. For you guys, it's a bit more accelerated, but like if you took a look at your 12 months and judged where you'd be in 3, you would not be able to say like you'd get there, but things can really begin to pick up when you're patient. And it comes down to that patience factor as entrepreneurs, how important that is to remain patient. Now, what I want to know is, when you guys landed this job, and you've made more than a whole year's worth of revenue, did you have any employees at this point, or was it just you two?
I think there was 2, Jan and Akil. Yep. I remember them sitting there lined up. Yeah, so we would have had at least 2. And then overseas, it would have been like 1 or 2. So like really, really still a small team.
So during this time that these guys are employed, what are they getting, like, was it people overseas, if there's no work or there's no jobs, like, are they getting paid every time something happens, or is it like an actual like salary agreement? Like, are they? Yeah.
We were pretty lean at the start. I mean, employees over here, yes, definitely getting paid and getting a salary, or perhaps it was part-time and hourly or whatnot. Overseas, it was more contractor basis, freelancer basis per project, and bigger reward when the actual job comes through, when a lot of the work's done, that kind of thing.
Why I really wanted to emphasize on that is because there's also like a huge overestimate, like people overestimate what happens when they bring on their first few employees. Like, it holds a lot of entrepreneurs back, but it's so important. It really is a turning point. And it's that you think you have to employ people full time. Like at the beginning, no, you can get away with doing like, casual part-time,
get them in,
doing contract stuff.
Try them out as well.
Try them out. Yeah.
We found our first employee in an ice cream truck.
What?
Ellie used to work at one of the, when you go to the beach, Elwood Beach, and you see like an ice cream truck there.
Mr. Whippy, that's me.
He was shirt off, pouring some ice creams.
No way.
And he ended up going for a run one day. He ended up, sticking his head in and saying, "Can I make my own ice cream?" The kid on the other side said, "Yeah, sure thing."
Yeah, and he's still with us today.
They got to talking, and he happened to have a supply chain background. And Ali and I just started. He just finished his master's in supply chain.
What?
By chance, and we just started talking about actually putting someone on. I was like, let's just interview him.
Yeah.
We ended up interviewing him. We're just like, let's just hire him. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm a little bit conservative. Gio's amazing at business. He's a big risk taker, or he's quite aggressive in that sense. And it's a funny thing when you think you're raising your expenses by taking on like an office or employing more staff, that kind of thing. It's counterintuitive, but when you do it, you just grow. Like when we took on our first office, so much risk there, and then all of a sudden everything just levels up.
Yeah.
So it is by taking those risks and not just not reacting to that instinct of
that person's there to make a return. Any team member that you have there. So even if their job isn't sales, right? If they're taking 20% of your time, of these admin tasks, whatever it is, that's a return. That's an investment, right? Because your time's worth 10 times whatever that person is sitting out there.
Absolutely.
So the goal is free up your time as much as possible, put the right people in the right spots, and they'll make more money for you than you can.
Correct. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Okay, cool. So now we're at a point where you guys land this contract. You've got 2 employees. What happens next? So now you've landed this first contract. Does that kind of set the standard as to what kind of like work you guys take on? It has to be big time stuff, or what? So now I'm assuming we're in year 2.
Yep.
Right. So we're at the start of year 2.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. We're at the beginning.
We
finished year 1. Now we're moving into the second year. Is this at the early stages? Yeah.
I think around April I traveled to China. And I was there to meet up with Eric, who was pretty much our main guy in China by then. So we had
that must have been exciting, man.
It was good. It was cool. It was sick. It was meeting up and talking about what we do. And
did those cultural Mandarin classes come in handy?
No, mate. The only thing I know is you got to hand the business card this way with the
like that,
and you shake the big boss's hand first, and then you go down the line. That's as good as it gets. But
got it.
I just remember when I was there, and we still had shit. Like at the end of the day, right? When someone works with us, it takes months, right? The average project takes 6 months from if there's product development, from when they sign on to we finish their research, their sampling, to their production, the freight, the logistics. It's like 4 to 6 months worth of work. So we still had quite a few of those projects where they weren't right for us. They weren't really right for the client. Like it wasn't really going anywhere. I remember I was sitting in the back of this like Uber car, and I just texted Ali saying like, that's it. We're changing our pricing. We're doing things differently. Like let's level up again. And I remember when we came back, we said, that's not what we charge anymore. This is what we charge anymore. That's not who we target anymore. This is who we target. And we started just thinking like that. And naturally, like, better quality clients start coming towards you. You start, and you're like, shit, why didn't we do this earlier? Honestly, I think we've done that 4 or 5 times now. Yeah. Where we're just like, this is what we charge. This is what we're worth. This is what our service is. This is, this is the clients that we want.
Yeah. That's evolution, natural evolution. When you're starting something, when you're learning, when you're finding your niche, you're finding your way.
When your confidence grows as well, and when you've got that team to back you, right? Like we have a team. Like we have now, people with experience of importing and manufacturing. Yeah,
I can't wait to get to that.
Products,
like I can't wait to get to that because that's really like the thing is, in the let's say the entrepreneur space, right? Particularly with the younger entrepreneurs, right? Everyone's starting like these different brands and companies and even like marketing agencies and everything. It's like you can have a team of 10 and then be still somewhat of a startup where everyone's just kind of figuring it out, and some people who are with you have been with you for a long time and they never had that background to begin with, and then you get to that point where this is my crossroad. It's like we're living parallel journeys, except you guys are like 2 years or 1 or 2 years ahead. But it's the same thing with us as a digital agency. If I've got the web development department and I've got the digital marketing department, the paid ads, Facebook and Google, and then I've got the SEO and the list goes on. We're going through that phase where it's like, when I'm hiring someone, I'm hiring like a department head who comes from a background of tech and web development experience. When I hire a Facebook ads person, it's not just someone who, has dabbled in e-commerce. This is someone who's either worked for another agency and has that experience, knows how to work with customers. So it's funny like that's the next step up. So now that you've changed your pricing structure, you guys are charging now what you feel like you're worth, and you've done that multiple times. We've done that too. Like, you know what, we're not going to work with this type of client. It has to be this type of client. Because what you'll find, I'm sure you guys went through this. We're currently going through this, and we went through this before. Like, one client can pay you X amount, the other client can pay you more, but you spend more time catering to this one.
Yeah.
Do you find that too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes the same amount of time with what we do, and probably
Same,
what you
very
do,
similar to us.
to set it all up, to service them, to spend months and all your energy and everything, and you put just as much love into every project, but some return just a lot more.
And honestly, sometimes the bigger ones are the easier ones because they've got trust. Like they're not sitting there going like, I need you to tell me what you're doing at all times. I need this to work. I need to see that return straight away. They understand how it works, right? They leave you to do what you need to do, and they just want to see the results at the end of the day.
They know what they want more as well. They're ready.
But they're also, like, you can't come into a sourcing company expecting to be like that. So it takes time, and you have to be patient.
Exactly.
So now, like, you guys have gotten your first job, and then, like, the first big job. What does that next year look like, that 12 months? How does it look like? Is it just like employer? Is it big job after big job and you guys start accelerating?
Not really.
I'd say the biggest thing, so we're talking 2019 now, the biggest thing that... 2019? Yeah, the biggest thing for our growth then was Gio focused really well on marketing and did everything himself, set up ad campaigns.
Like the lead generation.
Everything, Facebook. He was reading
I would have met
books.
you guys towards the end of 2019, I believe, right?
Probably 2020.
2020?
Yeah.
Or early 2020?
Early 2020.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, Gio just sort of figured out this complex system of ads and marketing and lead generation. And, you know, because the whole reason we got into this was we both saw that there's such a great concept here and there's so much that we can do because people need help and there aren't that many people out there doing this. And people are searching for assistance, searching for factories. So, Gio built out all these amazing ad campaigns. We did the copy together. We did videos. We just started doing it all from the ground up, and that led to a lot better inquiry, and that allowed us to actually grow. That's
consistently.
That's
Like
one of the biggest struggles we had was, you know, how do we find customers? Like, I know it's a really simple problem, but we created like a dummy account on Alibaba, and we used to wait for people in Australia to post requests for quotes, and we used to like find out who they are and reach out to them saying like, don't go through Alibaba, work with us. And you get maybe 1 out of 10 people who are like, yeah, let's try it. But the effort, you don't get the return. And, you know, we spent probably the first 4 months as well reaching out to people in procurement roles, right? So to us, anyone in procurement should be perfect to work with. Their goal is to source and procure products and to save on costs. So we go to them and say, listen, let us see if we can find you your products at a better price. Almost not one single procurement person responded in a positive way to work with us because they see it as if we help them, we're doing their job for them, and that makes them obsolete. Yeah. So we're just like, okay, we can't work with procurement people. We can't find, you know, we can't just sit there on Alibaba all day hoping that people respond to us. So we had to start thinking, you know, what are people looking for? What are they searching for? How do we actually find them properly?
Yeah, we tried everything, cold emails, like mail merge. He figured out how to, you know, email 1,000 relevant people at a time, offering our services. There's LinkedIn reach out, LinkedIn bots, all sorts of everything.
Guys, cold?
Cold calling
definitely.
as well, just lists, and we did it all. That's your hustle. That's when you
did your content, you did your videos.
Yeah.
You did a bit of videos online, I remember seeing.
We did all of that, and it was just really hard because we just weren't getting that return.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was soul crushing sometimes that you'd be hustling all day just to get someone to respond to you on LinkedIn. Yeah.
So I'm understanding it now. So really the next turning point was you guys went from where it's so similar to us as well, like trying to like have meetings and reach out to people and, you know, engage in conversations on Instagram just to get one person to be like, hey man, like I'm interested in you doing my ads, right? The real turning point for us as an agency was when we did what we're doing for clients is just, hey, let's just generate our own leads through our own digital marketing, you know, mediums, because then you're getting people who are searching for your product, whether it's on Google or interested in your service through Facebook. So that was the turning point. You guys, Gio, essentially you went, okay, outreaching is obviously very difficult. Yeah. How can I get these people to come to me?
Exactly right.
You set up your Google ad campaigns. You set up your Facebook. Yeah. You started doing inbound lead generation. Is that the key word there? Like
exactly
everything started coming in inbound.
It was only Google PPC at the time.
Yep. So it was just Google.
It was me jumping on and learning courses and reading books.
Yep.
But then we started to get, 5 clients a month. Then it went to 10 clients a month.
Yep.
Then it went to 12 to 15 clients a month. And that's when the next set of headaches come. It's like, okay, how do we service all these clients? How do we make sure that we're even making money from working with these clients as well?
Yeah.
So it's like spinning plates. Like you do one thing right and you crack it and you make a little bit of progress with doing sales, and then it's like, okay, how do we deliver on this work? How do we keep our word? How do we make sure the client's actually happy with what happened? So that was like, it was good. It was a good problem to have, right? When you got clients, it's a good problem to have to figure out how to do it right. So that was the next set of challenges. So that year was just, again, systems, processes, building a proper team. I think we hired our first salesperson in 2019.
2020.
2020, even then, jeez.
I was doing it all. Don't worry. It felt like 4 people, but it was just.
Were you doing most of the sales?
Everything, all the sales,
It makes sense because of your background, I guess.
That's my background. Yeah. And I love people.
Ellie, just with the mic. Yeah.
Closer.
I really want to hear your voice.
All the sales, but I love people, relationships, and helping.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. We naturally had our roles, even though. It was only the other week we actually defined our roles. Like literally last week, we defined our roles and responsibilities between us. But we naturally knew, like, I can't compliment him more about his strengths versus my strengths. Attention to detail, you know what he's like, hustler, so so motivated. I'm the complete opposite. Do you know what I mean? And it just worked really well because I never questioned, what are you doing? Like, is that adding value to what we do? And when I was sitting there trying to teach myself marketing, it's not like, what are you doing? That's a waste of time. Go find someone. It was just trust. What I mean? I do this, you do that. At the end of the day, we catch up and see how we went.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you learn making all those calls like at the beginning? I know you came from a sales background, but some businesses, when it comes to lead generation, that's really one of the ways that they accelerate their growth.
Yep.
And it creates this way of like consistent. I think what gets missed out on is that it's not just you're generating leads. You've almost bulletproof your business if you can get leads online, because it guarantees something's coming in. You know what I'm saying? Word of mouth is amazing. Referrals, like we mentioned, you almost guaranteed to lock that customer in if they've been referred. But you can't really scale on that. You don't know what you're going to get next month.
It's not on day or night. Do you know what I mean? Once you have it set up, you got leads coming through at night. You can't be hustling 24/7.
That's right. And what I found personally, and me and you were probably the people. I had to try and do everything. I wear all the hats, the marketing hats, and everything. But I've spent a lot of time on the phones. And the way you talk to people who you've been referred to is very different to people who are leads. So what were like what you find that really helped your conversion rate to get these random people, didn't have the background on you guys, were skeptical, over the line? Like what did you learn?
Do you mean outbound or inbound?
Inbound. Yeah. Because the inbound leads, they don't come with any context on who Ellie and Gio are. You're a company. So when I get inbound leads for LGT Digital, it's not like you guys trust me and anyone who comes from my Instagram trusts me. It's like, I know you, Leo, I know LGT Digital, I trust you. When I get an inbound lead from Google ads or Facebook ads, the guy's like, what are you going to do for me? Like, I don't know you. Why would I trust you? But so I've learned certain things that has helped me convert people better. What was it for you guys?
Right. I think, it's a combination of everything, but one is our model, what we do. It's like, if you're in the market looking to have a better factory, to have better relationships, have a better product, we really are the best solution. Like that's the model is and what we offer speaks for itself.
So I guess the product or the service sold itself.
It's a very soft sell. So all you're doing is you're really learning why that person's in contact with you. Because for you, it generally will be like, I want more leads, I want more business. For us, it could be my factory's disappeared on me, or I have a new product to develop, or I'm trying to do this. And for us, it's like you understand, you listen to their pain points, and you really just talk about how you can help. And it's not like, hey, you need us for this reason and this reason. This is what we do. This is the value that we offer. And pretty much they see it's like, okay, well, I need that. That's something that I actually need. So it's not one of the hardest sells. It's more or less like, are you at that point in time? Because for us, they need to be ready to go that day, if that makes sense. You can't help someone with an e-commerce business or source a product when they're still trying to build their prototype, or they haven't exactly nailed the type of business or the products that they want to source as well. So it's more or less, is that moment then the time where we can actually get involved and start helping them in their business? Otherwise, you're just having a conversation and they come back in 2 or 3 months' time. We turn people away and say, go get your business plan sorted. Go get your products or your tech packs, ready so we can actually start. Because without that stuff, we can't, get them to where they want to be either. So it's more or less, what are your pain points? Where are you actually at? And then, okay, it works well. We're right for you. You're right for us. Let's get going.
Yeah, it's just about caring. Like we listen to people, like anybody who inquires is obviously facing a challenge or an issue. And it's just about really caring about that, understanding it, and wanting to help. I think that biggest thing with both of us, like our core mission, the whole reason all this started is we'd both had bad experiences online overseas in the past, and we genuinely just wish there was someone there to help us and guide us and hold our hands. And so every time for every call, anyone we speak to, we genuinely just want to make things better for them.
I love that.
Yep.
So you want to leave anyone who calls you better off than before they picked up that phone or before you called them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That there is so powerful because I can relate to it so much. So when a customer would call me and I knew I couldn't take them on because we don't have a budget they can work with, or they weren't the right type of industry, I'd always be like, hey, here's what I recommend. And you should be trying to do this. You should be trying to do this. You need to do your influence outreach and trying to add value, because they will come around.
Yeah.
If
1,000%.
Or they'll refer someone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
1,000%.
And I've so that's, I guess, if anyone here has started to do their lead gen, the philosophy is, but by the way, call people quickly too.
Get back to them straight away.
All those fundamentals, call them straight away.
Don't you wait a day.
Patient,
Exactly.
listen,
Because
follow up, email,
follow up as well. You
them.
have to follow up, email.
That's sales principles.
Set up get on Pipedrive or Trello or HubSpot.
Yeah.
Make sure you're tracking everyone. Someone you talk to now could be a potential customer
Exactly
6
right.
months down the line. You don't know at what point that person's going to come.
Yeah. And don't bullshit. Just be authentic.
But you've already paid for that lead. Do you know what I mean? You've already spent that amount of money to have that person inquire. So even if you have to give up 5 or 10 minutes of your time and give them actual useful advice, you've already acquired that cost. So anything that you do from there on, it could be a return on that cost. So it's the more time you invest, you're getting your money's worth.
Yep. Understood. Cool. So now I'm excited to move into the next phase. Now you guys are generating leads. Okay. Right. You're generating leads and we're entering the craziest year of anyone's lives.
Exactly.
Our generation, our parents' generation, our parents' generation. We go into 2020, the year of COVID and coronavirus. What happens to you guys there?
Wow. What a crazy fucking year.
Yeah.
It was funny actually. We finally decided to get an office. By then we'd already been at mine for 2 years. And I was we started looking at places and
when was this? When did you start looking?
Probably Jan. I'd say
Jan 2020, yeah. Because the apocalypse began in March.
This is the best part. It was the best timing. We looked at a few places. He's I think this place is good. And we found a sick place in South Yarra.
Is that the place I went to?
Yeah.
Yeah, really
exactly
nice place, yeah.
And we were just fuck it, let's just pull the trigger. Let's get an office. And we kind of heard because we've got a team in China, right? And it was all happening there first.
Oh, yeah.
So we're hearing about this virus and we're just fuck, that sounds extreme. We're just but we're in our, when you're in your own world, you're just doing your own thing.
Yeah.
So we're just all right, we'll sign a lease. And we signed the lease and we're so pumped. And we're going to have our own space. And don't get me wrong, we hustled. We weren't sitting there making millions of dollars. We've been broke, not broke, but you know what I mean? Just treading water, getting enough to go by.
Up until this stage, we hadn't taken a salary.
2 years. We hadn't taken a salary.
I think that's one of the key things that people do wrong is just pull out.
Oh, yeah. When did you guys leave your jobs? When did you guys leave your jobs, though?
So I'd say it's about
mid-2019.
Yeah. So we've got probably, I think, a bit early. I think I was a bit earlier than that or late 2018, I think. So we were living off savings. Pretty much for a year.
That's what I was going to say. I don't want to backtrack and go back there, but how'd you sustain yourself? So it was off savings. Okay.
Savings.
For me, it was credit cards. Literally, if I should have had say 30, 50 or 50 grand in savings. I just spent that in credit cards and personal loans. I went down 30 grand to be able to go. It was crazy.
You have to.
That's the kind of risk taking that you need to do to get
and
to where you are.
What
right?
other people get scared of doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
do
stops
that.
people. It's I don't want to rack up a debt or a loan or what if it
or
doesn't
blow
work
my
out?
savings.
Yeah, exactly right. But it's it's what you need to do to be able to put all those other things first. The team, the staff, the office. You eat last. You get paid last. Once all that stuff's taken care of and whatever's left, that's what you get.
Yep.
Okay, so now we go back into the office. So you guys signed the lease. What month would did you have signed?
I think it was
March. Oh my God, that's so close.
We one weekend, we're rolling up our sleeves, we're painting walls, we're getting all this secondhand furniture in to make it look legit. And the weekend or the week that we're meant to move in, Victoria goes into a lockdown. Melbourne goes into lockdown.
Dan Andrews starts coming on TV.
So we're opposite South Yarra Station, right? And like as we're doing all the painting and getting everything ready, the station's packed, people coming and going. The day that happens, it's just the Metro employees walking up and down, not a soul to be seen. And Ali and I sitting there, we just look at each other.
Because you guys have like this, that old office is like, it's like your wall is a glass, and then you can, and then that because you guys love natural sunlight. Even I know that, right? Everywhere you go, it's natural sunlight. It's natural sunlight. Oh, this looks like the natural sunlight, right? So you got glass, and then right over from in front of that is the train lines in Ghost Town.
Ghost Town. That's it. And we're just like, shit. What do we do? Like we thought, have we just made a huge mistake?
We just signed a 3-year lease.
Yeah, and then the knock-on effect of that was the sentiment here had changed, right? So people were always like, oh, are you having trouble getting your products out of China? And for us, there wasn't too much of a headache. But when the sentiment here changed and people were like, okay, well, this is legit. It's here now. I don't want to go and spend $40,000 on my new product or my new brand. I better just hold on to my money in case things get a lot worse, right? So within that 1 week, we had probably like 20 clients contact us being like, hey, we're going to have to hold off. And do you know what I mean?
Same with me, man.
What do you say?
What can you say?
I mean, it would have happened like industry-wide. Anybody and everybody.
I
Everyone's
mean,
just
it
hold tight.
For us, it was literally like gyms, laser clinics. We had contracts with all of them. Like any industry that you could think of like that, it happens so quickly.
Yep.
And when you think back, you realize how insane it was. But at the time, you I don't know, like I felt like you handled it okay because it kind of happens when you're in the moment. It happens a bit, but in hindsight, it all happened so quickly.
Exactly right, and it makes sense, right? Like, but you know, it was just like as soon as that happened, I was like, shit, this is going to get probably worse before it gets better. And that's how it was for a little bit, like a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. It just kind of died down, and the
lead stopped, or
no, they still kind of they slowed down definitely, but there was the inquiries weren't as serious. You could see that it was just people with maybe a bit more free time having a bit of a search and seeing what we do. But we knew that that was a turning point for us where it's like, shit, this could get bad pretty quick.
I remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say, go for it.
I remember because we were just planning out a new office and what we're going to do, and I was going to order these glass partitions to like deck out, like to build individual rooms, and I was like, let's order them. And Gio's like, no, just hold off. And then anyway, which we'll get to, it's a month later, we're like, we actually could have ordered it.
Yeah. So a funny thing about leads is, so all that's happened, it's gone dead. Ali and I, just us two working from the office, everyone else is working from home. And all of a sudden we start seeing inquiries come through saying, can you help source and manufacture sanitizer or masks?
Ooh, that's what I was looking forward to getting to.
The PPE. And we're just like, we're sitting there like, I guess we can do that. And then,
oh my God,
we had within
this is
one
my favorite
weekend,
part of the podcast.
Within one weekend, I think it was a chemist reached out to Ali, and he sold like $250,000 or $300,000 worth of sanitizer in just a weekend. We're just sitting there looking at each other and just laughing like, this is fucking crazy. Like, and then it went from like a container of sanitizer to 1 billion gloves to a 10 million masks to being connected to venture capital firms in the US who are who represent private equity funds who are needing to supply hospitals throughout there, and the quotes went from like 1 million to 5 million to 40 million to 100 million to $500 million, and we're still just like, this isn't real. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of just like really hopeful people looking to make a buck, and the difference between us was all the government contracts, for instance, within Australia that got handed out to all these healthcare companies, right? They don't have an actual presence in China. So what they would do is they would go and just travel there. What do you do when the whole country's locked down?
You can't travel.
Can't
fly.
Guess who had a staff?
You guys
sitting there ready to go.
Guess who had it? Yeah.
So
teams, offices.
There was an element of luck, but there was also, we grinded to get to that point where we could say, you know what, we know enough about enough. We've got a team there. We know how to get this done. And we started just, we won a few contracts, significant size contracts supplying PPE. I think there was masks to the NHS in the UK.
And I want they have to, your viewers watching this have to understand that the quantity of the contracts does directly impact how much you guys make from a revenue perspective, because there's I'm not going to get into the details, but there is a percentage structure where the total order value, you guys you take X%, right? Correct. So if someone begins to, if your order values go from like $100,000 a month to suddenly $1 million a month, that's significant, or to 10 million, and so on. So that's a huge injection of, changes the game for you guys, really. Right. Yeah. That's your big turning point there.
That was it. It was just in the span of 3 months. Don't get me wrong, it was the most challenging time of our life, because it's like I said about the steel, right? You level up. You go, okay, we can do this. This is good. But when it comes to like the biggest pandemic the world's probably seen the last few hundred years, every single genuine mask manufacturer, or good mask manufacturer, or a PPE manufacturer has been tied up for the next 12 months worth of manufacturing. Or you've got someone from the Spanish consulate going into factories and buying out the next 6 months worth of supply chain for $50 or $60 million. We had to figure out, okay, so those factories are locked away. What are the next wave? What do they look like? What are their qualifications like? How do we make sure they're legitimate? How do we make sure? And I shit you not, it was the Wild West over there. It was, seriously, you walk in with a bag of cash and you'd go to the front of the queue, or there would be a factory with the same name as a legitimate factory stapled to the front of it. And you go next in door, and it's a knockoff, shady factory that's making masks that people are buying and using, that are made from fake Melbourne cloth, which is the fiber within it that makes sure that, you don't spread the virus. That's, not sanitized, dirty workers using their hands, coughing everywhere. Bare feet. And like, we'd send staff in there, and they would send, the best part is, everyone's ticking a box who's in a government job, right? You need to make sure it has the right certificate. You need to make sure it has this, it has that. But they don't want to know what's actually going on. So these factories would put up a fake sign saying that this factory, and then you'd walk in and they'll provide you all the right documentation that they've taken from the real factory, and you'd walk around and you go, this isn't it. Like, it's not. It's dirty. It's not. It's, the quality of the masks.
That's unreal, man.
And we did this, right? We probably went to about 50 or 60 different factories.
When you say your team in China.
Team, yeah. They would go they'd start at probably 8 a.m. and they'd finish at about midnight every day, and they'd be either finding a good factory and trying to negotiate us to actually get an order in the queue, or they'd be going and seeing lemon factories where they're dodgy and they're not legit, and they're getting the hell out of there as quickly as possible. And that went on for like weeks and weeks, and we're working day, night. Yeah. We'd have clients in the US structuring calls for us at like 1 a.m. And then you go to bed for about 4 or 5 hours. You wake up to another 500 emails of people urgently needing all this stuff. It just went nuts.
Yeah, it was crazy. It really was.
What were you feeling throughout all of that?
I don't know. It's like, when it's like adrenaline, right? When something crazy happens, you get through that moment, you look back, it's like there was no time, it was just like the craziest memory. Like, imagine that feeling for like 3 months, where every day you're just dealing with, COVID happened, right? So everybody's feeling like there's all these, just something new, no idea what's going on. For us, I mean, thankfully we were working all day, every day in this new office. So for us, we were kind of sheltered from everything else going outside in the world. But yeah, talking like the dodgiest things happening, and us knowing that a proportion, I'm not going to say a lot or a little or whatever, but a lot of the products coming into this country, every other country, we knew too much. We're like, this stuff is crap.
So, for instance, we
knew too much.
We knew too much because we got people there.
Put your lives at risk.
Yeah, but it's in the sense of like by the end of it, we had our shit down so good that we'd have samples of the raw materials tested at a third-party facility before they were used. We'd have 2 people watching the production line all day. They'd take samples every 2 hours that were independently tested at the end of the day. And then we'd take our samples to a third-party facility, again, to be tested. So we knew every single mask that came in not only met but exceeded TGA standards, right? So for us, it was like we had that confidence in what we were doing, but we saw also what was going on around us, and we're just like, it felt sick. We could have won a lot more work, but we would have had to sell our soul in the process. We would have had to, literally sell junk or products that we didn't believe in or we didn't think were safe. And, I'm really proud of anything that we brought into this country. We know is made and fit for purpose.
Oh my God, that is like, I felt like it was just a movie and it was leading up to this climax, and it was even better than what I thought. Like, because as you guys are talking, I'm like painting this image of my head of like you guys in your first 12 months, you get 20 clients in the total 12 months. You're hustling, you're setting up the foundations, and then your next 12 months, so your second year of business, you guys go from that to start doing what your typical growing business does. Investing into your marketing, generating your inbound leads, and then you guys are growing. And I think what really, like, you guys achieved what should a typical sourcing company may have achieved maybe in 10 to 15 years. And really what accelerated that growth was the COVID period for you. It assisted the growth for you guys, but also shouldn't, and I know there is a temptation to almost attribute, especially to the viewers who are really looking to make an excuse as to why certain people are successful, to attribute that to a time. Those periods can make or break businesses, and the businesses that don't have the foundations set in stone would have fallen. And the only reason you guys were able to grow is because your foundation blocks were so strong.
Exactly right.
So it really comes back down to how important that is. So
exactly right.
Amazing work. Like, that's unreal. I've been so curious to find out that part, because I actually didn't know it, I didn't know where that turning point was. I knew I was eventually going to interview you guys. So I didn't want to ask that question because I wanted the reaction to be genuine. And genuinely, I'm blown away. Like, that's crazy. So you guys go through this 3 months of insane growth. Your business is not what it was in that at the end of that 3 months as it was when you guys first started. I'm guessing the revenue that generated within that period almost, you could, it's like could destroy what you've done over 1 or 2 years as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So what then happens? Tell me about, because I know you guys quickly, because I met you around that time, and it's like staff members, and it just elevated and went from a lot of people employed to needing a bigger office. I don't know. You tell me. Like,
it's good. It was like we were in our office for about 3 months, and we're like, okay, there's too many people for this one. We need to move. And lucky enough, we didn't build walls or anything like that. But we're catching our breath at one point. But really, we didn't want to stop moving. We wanted to continue the momentum, and I think, we had to do the right things in terms of like getting in a good accounting company on board to make sure that we're doing best practices, because there's so much money coming in, so much money coming out from all that. So we literally took a focus and protected ourselves. And then it went to, okay, let's just scale. Let's just go.
Yeah. We kept doing what we were doing, and we found that there was an increased demand. Regardless, we would have grown last year. Had that not happened, I guess an on-flow effect of that happening, we saw there were so many people at home, working at home, thinking, now's the time, I'm going to launch my side hustle. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to get into e-commerce. E-commerce went through the roof last year. I think you would have seen heaps and heaps and heaps.
Yeah, very true.
People, brands, everyone's shopping online, everything, can't go to the shops, all that sort of stuff. So through that process, we're experiencing good growth in our traditional services. And then having the resources to just really supercharge that growth. We were hiring more people, more great operational people. Literally every aspect or function of the business, we're just putting back in.
Yeah, we took some time to think about what is the next 6 or 12 months. Even though it's still really short-sighted, we're like, okay, how do we set ourselves up again? And we made the decision of, okay, because we're going to take the floor above us at our old office, and we're going to fit out both levels. And we had drawings completed, we had renders completed. We're just like, fuck it, let's just go get a new office. Like, let's go get the dream one that we want. And we ended up, finding the perfect space. And at the same time, we took on with some really big tasks, which was going through a rebrand, which we're almost finished, and I think, starting to be rolled out now. We hired a management team, and that's from an operations manager to a team leader manager to a sales manager to a China manager over there as well, to a manager in India. And we built our dream office as well. And those three things, while just growing, that was exhausting for us, and we've just only started knocking off some of these things. And, we've got a great marketing manager on board now, so he's taken over the rebranding. But that stuff then started to consume us. That became our days of, figuring out floor plans and talking about the tone and the personality of our brand to our new branding agency, and, hiring,
training
team members as well. But we knew what we were still on the same path, right? Like Ellie said, e-commerce took off. You know, there were so many even established businesses that can't get overseas.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing, right? Like these old school companies, their thing is, I send some dude over there for a few weeks to a factory. You know, he susses them out. They're all good, and then we order from them. Two things happened. One is you can't do it, and the other is Chinese factories were inundated with work at that point, because what happened was right now is Chinese New Year, right? It's about to kick off, and a lot of workers from factories actually go back to their hometown villages, and they'll be gone for 2 weeks. So factories, all manufacturing closes down for pretty much only 2 weeks, but it feels a lot longer because they need to finish their orders before, and they only start orders once they come back. So what happened with last year's Chinese New Year was COVID had really hit then, and the country went into pretty much a lockdown. So instead of it being 2 weeks that factories were closed for, it was like 2.5 months.
Yep.
So you can't just go to your factory anymore. And these were people who had like genuine relationships with the factories that they've been ordering for 5 years. The factory's like, I can't help you. I can't do anything for 6 months. I can't give you your products for 6 months. And for us, we had a team, literally a team in India sitting there. We had all these incredible full-time employees in these surrounding countries as well. So for us, it was that opportunity of, okay, let us find you those new factories. Let us be that person for you overseas. And we capitalized on all those other opportunities at the same time.
Okay, so man, so much to consume. It's like the way I visualize or I imagine what you guys went through is essentially 5 years of growth, but just condensed down to 6 to 12 months. Yeah, 6 months.
Exactly,
and it's literally like a movie, and you put it on times 16 forward. It's like like everything's just happening so quickly.
Yep.
So that brings me forward a lot of questions. I'm going to start with one of them, which I'm curious about, and I know that the viewers are. Now, everyone who starts a business, their dream is to build a big business. As you grow in your business, it becomes a bigger purpose, especially when financial things begin to get looked after, and I've begun to see that too. However, when you're just starting out, which is probably most of the viewers who are watching, the dream of building a business is to experience what you guys felt so that you can become, wealthy and successful and rich and, whatever, the dream, living the dream. So I want you guys to talk to me about that. I want you guys to talk to me about what it felt like to see when you guys really understood that not only has your business's financial position changed significantly so quickly, but that also meant that you guys are now no longer what you were before. I'm guessing you didn't really have a chance to really enjoy it or to enjoy, because like you've been so busy and that's, I think people miss, is that the entrepreneurs who go and hit that turning point, make a lot of money, are so busy then delivering and then managing and hiring that they don't even have a chance to go and enjoy it. But what was it like? Have you guys had a chance to reflect what's happened like to your mentality, to your life since then?
I think we're both still pretty humble.
I know you guys are humble, absolutely.
So I don't know. It's just we'd have moments where we'd be like, how cool is this? We're doing this. Like, we went and got new cars, and like that was something really like.
What car? I know what they are, but
I got a GLE AMG 6.
Yeah, two AMGs.
Yeah, love it. Yeah,
and it wasn't like we did well, but as a business, our mindset was still like, okay, it's almost like we raised money, if that made sense, to a degree, to be reinvested in the business. My wealth won't come from that 1 year. It will come from the next 5 years of working really hard and it being a lot bigger than what it is. So I think we just always had that mentality of like, let's do a little bit for ourselves. Like, like I said, we bought, brand new, or not brand new, but new Mercedes, new AMGs each.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest treat that we did for ourselves. Like that was it. And then we were just like, that's it. Back to a few nice dinners, better Christmas presents for your friends and your family. Yeah. But besides that, it's like,
it wasn't like you're like, all right, we're done, let's go.
There's no Rolex.
There's
out. There's none of that. It's just like,
you guys keep your head down, and
you don't want to let it take over as well. Do you know what I mean? Because it can come and go really quickly. That's the truth of business. You can have a great year and then you can have a disastrous year. And for us, we just wanted to not let all of that become a distraction, and for anything, for it just to remind us, okay, how do we do it again? How do we do it even bigger? How do we? And we're on track to start, to doing that. We're really built now a better foundation, a business that generates, we now do 1 month what we used to do in a year previously.
Wow.
So we've 10x'd what we used to do as well. and we've got all these new models and all these new things that we're working on as well. So we just kind of said, okay, that's happened. It's great. Like, you know, but how do we just focus on what we need to get done to make it this more attractive or bigger business?
Yeah, I know. Like what you say, like you think that's everything and that's going to change it all, and you know, life's so much different after that. And I know that both of us, when we jumped into doing this, and the whole idea for Saucy, it wasn't about money.
No,
it's funny because for me, I was so driven by money. I always try to like do little startups, hustle, all that sort of stuff, and I think that's great. Similar to you and Gio as well, where you come from. You don't come from everything. You've got to struggle. You've got to grind. You see your family doing it tough, and you want to help, all that sort of stuff. But when my job I had what I was doing before, I managed to purchase property, and I did quite well in that. And then so the whole for Saucy, it was just about helping people, and like the perspective changed. Everything changed. It was just about helping people. I dug into, 5 figures of savings, a lot of savings for the first year, and it was all just fun. The journey was fun. It was really about the journey. It's funny because just the journey, and then that happened in 2020. The numbers just got bigger. Didn't really feel that much different. There was a lot of excitement around it. The invoices just got bigger. We treated ourselves. I helped my family. I did some things that I really wanted to do, and then
awesome, man.
Nothing else is different.
Yeah.
We didn't go out and buy anything flat. I mean, the cars, I love cars. My idea of my 21st birthday when I had nothing to my name was go and test drive my favourite car. I love Benzes, all that sort of stuff. We got really nice cars. But yeah, we felt like, and we're still going, we hadn't stopped. We didn't waver. It was just about put it back in the business, grow. Still doing what we're doing. We feel like Gio says it, we've been running a marathon. We literally haven't stopped to smell the roses.
Like there was no, we can't travel at the moment, which is an incentive to keep working. But yeah, it was just like, that was cool. How do we do what we do better? And that's literally just been the focus since then.
Yeah.
How different do you feel from going to Gio's house and walking into the apartment and beginning to work, and now going into this insane office that you guys have? Who's above you, like Hoyts or something like
Val Morgan above, and then
Cost Living,
Domain below,
domain.com, like below, like these massive companies. And anyways, just to give a perspective on how insane the office is, that's one of the floors that you guys have taken for yourselves. What's it like, or how different is it when you went to Gio's, walked in, opened that door, sat on like a table or something, versus going in and you've got all the staff, you've got your own offices, and how different really is the feeling?
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Every day, like, you just pinch yourself, feel amazing, feel grateful. But yeah, I don't know, it's not different. Like, it's like, this is amazing. You feel like you've earned this, and you're so glad that you could put it all back and create this beautiful environment. You've got all these people smiling and laughing, and teams, and everyone doing great. And you just want to keep doing that. You just want to keep growing and creating positive change.
That was always the vision. Like, it's not like because of what happened we decided to build a nice office. We always wanted to build a beautiful office, a beautiful space. What we visioned and what we built are the same thing, right? Maybe we didn't get there. We got there maybe a bit quicker, but it's not like it was because of that we were able to. That was always a part of the plan. So for us, it's nice to go in there and go, you know what, we talk about this, we dream this, then we've made it happen. And when you walk through, like, don't get me wrong, it's surreal. And the hard part is you get a little bit numb to it sometimes. It becomes the normal.
Yeah.
And every now and again, like, you'll pinch yourself and you'll be like, shit, all these people work here, they work for us, they work hard. Talented people.
Yeah.
One thing that I can testament to Saucy is the culture as well. So it's not only did we go from here to here, but we did it without losing who we are, without losing our personality, without losing that energy as well. So it doesn't matter if it was that old office or this office, it's the same people with the same mentality, with the same culture. So, it just feels really good to be walking through there.
Yeah. You know what, something you said, so true. You become numb to it. And I'll give you an example. So you guys know, like my dream car was always like an M4. Like I put that up on my vision board. I finally went and bought that, and that changed everything. That's probably the best. And I will say my M4 was an investment because of what it's been able to do for me. Like what that makes you feel, how it makes me feel, it brings back what I bought like tenfold. And also being an entrepreneur online, that stuff does help overall, you know. It does. As much as people say that, you know, that image and who cares and stuff. Look, as you're an entrepreneur and your business relies on attention and people coming to you, that stuff does matter. But to me, I didn't even care about that. I just wanted the car. The other day I was driving and I'm like, I'm so focused, I'm so numb to my car. And I was like, man, when I first sat in this car, when I drove it, what it made me feel doesn't do it to right now. Yeah. But when I gave it a second, it started to make me feel that, because you have to almost like put yourself back there to remember how much of a big deal it is. And I went, oh my God, I haven't looked at the steering wheel in so long. I grabbed it. I'm like, my God, like the BMW logo. And I'm looking around at the, you know, the red leather seats and all that. And I'm like, and I had that moment. And sometimes when my staff leave from here and it's quiet, and it's not crazy, and then I look around, I'm like, man, like this is the dream office. I stand outside, the logo's on the building, and I get in my car and I look at it, I'm like, this is crazy. But for 99.9% of the time, you actually don't think like that. Whereas when you start, you think like you're always going to be like buzzing, like, I'm so grateful, but really it doesn't happen that way.
And everyone's looking at you and thinking, you know, I wish I had that, or do you know what I mean? And you become so I guess numb to it. It's like you don't realize that people are looking at you going, fuck, he's killed it, or he's doing what he said he was going to do. To you, it's just every day now. Yeah,
it's important to be grateful too. I know you do it a lot. You sit there at night, you see the city lights, and you just take it all in.
Gratitude, you know. I know I'm really fortunate just to have him. Do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't be here without even Ellie, let alone all the other things that have happened. So you just take time to appreciate that.
Yeah. So you guys will have moments where you like sit there and you're just looking out and you're like,
like city views and just like, this is pretty cool. Yeah. But you don't want to get caught, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You got to keep pushing. Otherwise you might get too comfortable and it can all disappear.
Yeah. To me, it still feels like a bit of a dream. Like I kind of,
it's almost like
not real kind of thing.
It is real, brother. You guys have done it. Yeah. But I know you'll continue to kill it. Question for you is that, you know, it's one thing to, you know, be the heads of your company that you've started up. And, you know, have staff that really rely on you and, you know, look to you for guidance to solve problems, you know, you know, issues arise, closing deals, how to close more deals, what step to take the business in, marketing, et cetera, they always come to you, right? You guys have now accelerated from that to almost getting guidance from the people that you've put in place. And that is what's happening to me right now. So I'm curious to see what that looks like when you're at a point where you've got all your heads in place. And really when you're talking about marketing, Gio, although you have an input, you've almost like gone to this, you know, to Evan, for example, and been like, you tell me where we're going, right? I don't want to tell you where we're going. Same thing with like, the equivalent to me is like the web development time. I put a senior in place, and it's the first time where I don't come in and go, we need to build new systems. He comes and goes, Leo, we can't be doing it like this. You know, this is the issues that are arising. This is what we should be doing. And I'm about to build these systems. And I'm like, wow, this is different. But I haven't experienced it at a company-wide scale. So what's it like? What's it like for you guys being in that point?
It's only been the last few months. We've gotten to that point, I think. You know, the biggest thing is finding what's eating up your time and putting those people in place. And I think now we've really built out the lines of reporting, right? So I know who my direct reports are. So my direct reports are the developer, lead developer, the marketing, and the operations manager, right? So I know that that's who I'm responsible with dealing with. That's the people that report into me, and that's my expectations, and I've got my KPI set for them. Underneath them, they have their own teams, right? So for Ali, it's the same thing. He's got his sales, his direct report as well. I think he's got Grace as well. So, you know, you're almost set up in this way where you're expected not to be doing anything besides supporting them and them having coming and reporting to you. I think once that happens, you realize how much free time you have, or you should have, to work on all the other areas of the business that your skill sets are at. You're great at making content. Do you know what I mean? You're great at coming up with strategies and ideas. if you could spend 80% of your day doing that, the business would be, 2 or 3 times bigger than what it is.
Yeah.
So it's like that for us, where it's like, what are the things that you're actually really good at? How do you focus on those? How do you get rid of everything else? And having these, like you said, these people that come up with the strategies, even when we contribute to marketing, whatever it is, there's still, we can still have our 2 cents in, but they execute it. There's no expectation of us to get involved and to do the work for them. That's what you want. You want to have that team that you can trust, and you go, guys, figure it out, execute it, bring it back to me, and it's done. And it's done at a level that meets or exceeds what you expect as well. And we've only just had that. Like, it's taken months of hiring the right people, building out the processes and foundations properly to now be able to go, okay, now that that's all sorted, what else do we want to work on? What else do we want to improve within the company?
Wow. Yeah. So you guys are at that point now where everything's set in place, and then you can spend most of your time. And I think that's, for me, I've seen the value in that, like, ever since because it was a big step for me to hire someone senior. And why is it a big step? Let's be transparent from a salary perspective, right? It's more of an investment. Like, it's more of a cost to the business to bring in someone and train them as to someone who's like come from another job where they've led the department there and expecting something better than what they got there for them to come over.
Exactly right.
You're playing another game, and you're hesitant to do it. But then when I've seen, for example, him in place, and this is like really fresh, I've went, my God.
Yeah.
What
was I been doing for the last 6 months?
I was getting involved in web development processes and like fixing websites. I should have never touched that stuff, because that's not who I am. Like you said, what I love to do is this.
Yeah, exactly right.
I love to do this. I love building relationships. I like being, creating content. And there are some things at an operational level that I love doing. Yeah. Like, for example, solving top level stuff. So I don't want to solve, for example, what this particular issue is in this client, but I want to take a look at what the common issues are across all of our clientele and make an executive decision to solve all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then obviously the morale point of view, like, I've been watching Vikings recently. Have you watched it? You haven't watched it? You haven't watched it?
Is it getting you G'd up before you come to the office?
Yeah, it gets me G'd up. Yeah, so I've been watching Vikings, and essentially, like, there's obviously the leader, but in this recent scene, it showed, like, say the soldiers fighting and they're losing, and then all it took was for their leader to come from hiding to stand in front of them and encourage them, and they just started, like, because they saw their leader, the morale improved, and that's what I've learned. After you go through your hustle phase and you make all the sales calls yourself, you do all the marketing yourself, and then eventually start passing that on to new staff or agencies, and you outsource all of that stuff, you get to a point where almost your position is to get reported to, make some decisions or support, but then more so just to be there.
Yeah.
As morale. Yeah. Just to, your staff see you walking in, you're full of energy, and they're like, man, the person I work for, I love that person. They get me motivated.
It's such a good point as well, because we had this happen the other week where an employee reminded us that sometimes we're too focused on the numbers, right? And for us, we think we've got a great culture, and there is, but they don't see all the other stuff that we're working on. So tomorrow is the first ever Saucy Summit. And what we decided to do is Ellie and I are going to dress up like rangers from the bush, and we're going to come in, give everyone like a whistle. And we're pretty much going to talk about all the things that aren't just front, because in our office, you've seen, we've got those 3 TVs, right? And they've got like analytics, sales, numbers. And sometimes that's all the team sees from us, because we're in our offices and we're doing so much other stuff. But this is where we're going to show them like the new rebrand. They're going to see the new website for the first time. They're going to see the platform that we're building. We're going to talk to them about our roles and how we're going to be leaders. And that is a big part of it, and it's until someone points it out to us or to me and said, I don't see too much of that side, you realize that is a part of being a leader. And that's if your time's going to be spent and you're not doing all these little admin tasks and being responsible for the sales or the marketing, inspire them, get people excited, remind them why they work here. Because at the end of the day, your team works for you. They come to work not for LGT, they come to work for you. And it had to be said to me by 10 different employees that they come to work for Ellie and I before I started to believe in it. But it's like they do want to hear from you. They do want that intimacy with you. They do want that connection with you. And that's something that you need to give up and prioritize for them as well.
Yeah, and you don't think about that stuff when you first start your business.
You just think about numbers and money and
numbers and but after that kind of like gets accomplished, you realize like, okay, you've just got your yellow belt. You've still got like to get to that next level or to keep growing, it's just another thing. So you guys have changed in terms of like what kind of customers that you deal with, the top type of clientele that you bring on board. Who is like your average bread and butter client? Who's their avatar?
So they're probably either newly established but with financial backing or with money to actually invest in a product, or an established business. Someone who either needs help finding a factory or developing a product, or something to do with overseas sourcing. They're pretty much trusting in the process and for us as well, but they're pretty much ready to go. They've got an idea or a concept or a product or a problem for us to solve. They don't have $10,000 to spend on their product, because sometimes it's just not enough. Between the product, the factory, the freight, the logistics, everything else, you need to be ready to invest. And that's something that we learned over time was, we want to grow with our clients. The way the business works is when they reorder, we help them with the reordering. We grow with them and their success, and we help them, get better material costs, save on throughout the process as well. So anyone who's really serious about business and they're not in it for a one-off order, and that they've got that little bit of financial backing behind them, even if it's just savings or whatever it is, that is who we want to work with. The serious business owners, the serious entrepreneurs, the serious product developers. That's who we want to be with.
Yeah. So it's not really like the ideal client for you wouldn't be someone who's like, I'm thinking about like, I got this product idea, I'm thinking about, finding like a supplier in China, and then just comes and hits you guys up. Like,
For us, like, the best clients that we have, like that's who we can work with, but the best clients we have are, they're established. They're like you said, they're these sexy e-commerce brands that do 10 figures. They're ready to develop a new product. They don't know what they're doing. Yeah, they don't want to take the risk of getting it wrong, and then we go on them with that journey. So we had a really big, I don't know if I can mention their name, but
sworn to secrecy in our business. Remember that.
But, we helped them with their brand new product development for the first iteration. The first one they ever, because everything before that, they hit 10 figures by grabbing a generic product, putting their branding on it and selling it. Yeah. And now they're like, okay, we want to develop our own. And we went on this journey with them through product development, the designing of it, the packaging, absolutely everything. And now, they're doing $500,000 orders every time. And it's just like they're selling like crazy as well. And for us, that's who we want to work with, where they're so focused on the sales, the marketing, the business development. They've got full trust in us pretty much to be their supply chain team. And at the end of the day, when you come work with us, you don't just get one account manager that you work with, just like it is here. You've got a head of operations, and then you've got an operations team. You've got a logistics manager. You've got a production manager. You've got an account manager. You've got a researcher or two researchers over in China. You've got a QC in logistics or QC and auditing person in China as well. You've got like what would be 10 people's salaries and a wealth of experience working for you day and night. That's what you get. I get what
you're saying. And I think that it's almost the same in our industry. People don't see that part, right? They think like, okay, when you take on a contract to run Facebook ads or Google ads, it's just like one person, just doing everything. But you've got like your ad specialist, your account manager, the person who's actually communicating with you and keeping you updated and making sure you're happy. But then you've got your designer or the people doing all the creatives that are in the team. And then you've got the specialist, the person who is good with data that's feeding information to this person that they're meeting with. And then there's, say, for example, me at that top level who's meeting to take a look at all the clients, make sure everything's... And people don't often see that, and that's like 4 people involved into one thing.
Exactly right.
And that's the same with you. You guys are on the upper scale of things. Now, let me be someone who comes with an objection and goes, you know what? Why would I want to go with you guys and invest all this money and not just go on AliExpress or Alibaba, right? What is the difference here? Or, call up someone or try to like find someone in China to go and do this factory looking for me. What really is going to be, because I know what would hold people back from working with you, and it's the financial commitment that is involved. But I also know that's the only way to do it properly. The same with like launching a successful e-com brand. You can sign up for ads, but really, if you want a best chance at this working, you've got to make sure you've got a killer website. For example, like an amazing Shopify store with all the boxes ticked. You've got your influencers that are there that are, promoting your product, and you use the influencer content on you got to have reviews on your products, descriptions. You got to really go all out. Then on the ad side of things, you got to make sure that you've got your creative content there, and then you've got, and the list goes on and on. So with you guys, if I'm like, it sounds good, but why don't I just go online and use a drop shipping thing, or why don't I just go through AliExpress or find a factory myself? What would be the response be?
Yeah. The that typical objection is normally done by people who have never done it before. And they don't know just how much is involved, how many problems they're going to have, how many issues they're going to face, how much time they're going to spend, all that sort of thing.
What kind of issues do they typically face?
Well, one of the easiest ones is that you don't know who you're working with, right? So like even I had this where when I look back on when I was ordering my printing products, you're working with a trading company. So this could be someone registered working out of their bedroom. They don't actually understand your product or your development. They might have one factory that they like to work with. You're actually not working and building a relationship with the factory. Factory doesn't even know who you are. You don't exist to them, right? You're dealing with this one person. This one person is responsible for all your product development, your manufacturing. They're putting on probably a margin of 30 or 40%. And
easy.
And you've got no oversight or control, right? What we do is we partner only our clients directly with factories. So you're never working with a middleman. You're never working with a broker. You're never working with some guy working out of his bedroom. We know what to look for in terms of what a good manufacturer looks like, right? So like you said, if you jumped on Alibaba, you could go, Gio, I found the exact same product you found and I found it at $10 and you could only find it at $8 or $9. But I guarantee the factory that potentially you might find wouldn't have the right certification, their production and quality assurance processes wouldn't exist. They might have unethical manufacturing conditions. They might outsource one component of the manufacturer into a manufacturer down the road who you don't know who they are as well, and they could completely butcher it. There's so much involved in terms of all of those intricacies that if one of those things goes wrong, it's either going to cost you a lot of money or a lot of time. We can, when I say someone works with us for 4 to 6 months, we do it once, we do it right. You don't have to move manufacturers after that first order because it didn't work out. And you'll see a lot of people go, I tried it from this factory, they sucked. I went to this factory and I had some headaches. I think I found this factory. That's over a 2-year period. We might take 4 to 6 months, but that might be something that would take anyone else 12 to 2 years. Like years.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We save you all that time, all that energy, all that headache. And I'm not going to lie, we save people money on the actual cost because the way we find factories, the way that our team reaches out, the way that we negotiate, the questions that we know to ask, the price we get won't be the price that everyone else gets. So you make a small investment to show you're committed to us, and in return you get the benefits of having someone be accountable for it, save you tons of time and tons of money as well.
Yeah, and problems, headaches, returns, faulty, defective products. Ordering one time comes perfect.
Second time.
From somewhere else, or it's something different, or it's not quite even right, or all that sort of stuff.
Us putting in place sales contracts that protect our clients, auditing and quality controlling and checking all the factories. These are things that sometimes first-time importers don't know. And I did the same thing, right? My QC was waiting for it to get here and just hoping that when I opened the boxes, the product was right. Where we don't let any shipment leave until we've checked it. We know that anything that goes into that container is perfect. You're not holding your breath anymore and going, oh, you got the color slightly wrong, or my logo's a bit crooked, or even those little things, they're enough to just, to make you feel sick.
Yeah,
you've spent 20 grand on it.
Yeah. I've at first hand seen e-com entrepreneurs go through those same headaches always, and the delays in times as well. I'm not sure if you guys are able to make things quicker as well, like with what you do, but it's always delays is like the biggest headache because they're so keen to just get started, and it takes like so long for them to get their sample, and then the sample's not right. They send their comments. It takes ages again for that sample to come. Do you guys also speed that up? Or
so what we do is we'd send the sample to our actual office in Shenyang.
Oh my God, that's the biggest advantage, right?
So
Got it.
They check it there.
So it doesn't have to come here.
Don't waste time sending it here. And then in terms of production time, in our sales contract, we put in with the factories agreeing to sign to what the actual production time is. We write a production schedule that we show the factory. They sign off on it. Any delays beyond that point, there's actually penalties that the factory has to compensate to the purchaser as well.
Every day.
Yeah. So
every single day.
It's in their best interest to make sure that they don't fall behind as well. So all those things, and then what we do at the same time is when production's finishing up, we're coordinating freight and logistics. We've already booked your vessel. We've given you the sailing dates. You're not waiting for it to finish. You reach out to your freight company. They give you a date that sails in a few weeks' time, and then all of a sudden it's another 3 or 4 weeks before you get your product. We're well and truly ahead of that for all our clients.
When it arrives, we've already got a warehouse if you need one, 3PL, all that sort of stuff. You literally don't have to see the product a lot of the time. with the delays, let's just say you're starting an e-commerce business, and you know you can do whatever it takes to be successful, right? So say it's not going to be in the first year. Say it's going to be 3 years, right? In 3 years you'll get there. If most people take about 12 months to do what we do, and we do it in 6 months, that's 6 months shaved off those years, right? So you're there sooner. You're more successful sooner. You can get it all done, and it probably actually compounds more than that 6 months because if you've got your own time back, like if you could come in tomorrow and just do what you wanted to do and not have to worry about those headaches, or things that you don't really want to do, you're gonna
spend more time to help accelerate your brand. So there's a lot of opportunity cost there.
And that's why established businesses get so excited, is because Ellie said they've done it before. They've seen all this stuff. They've had all the headaches.
Yeah.
They're thinking, so you guys are going to do all of this for me. You know, they get excited by that because we're that one-stop solution. Doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you just need help with product development, then the manufacturing, or just the manufacturing, or just the feasibility of research, whatever it might be, that's what we do. You know, we make everyone's life easier.
We've went through the whole story. It's been incredible, honestly, to listen to you guys and to really finally understand the entire journey of the business. And so it's inspiring. And hopefully a year from now, I'll have one of those huge turning points too, like some massive contract, a big client. And I know I'm going to be talking and I'm going to understand what you've went through, particularly in that last, I would say, quarter of your journey, which I still haven't got to, but I'm starting to see an experience. And two guys who got together with an idea, you identified a problem, you worked hard, you took big risks, you invested in your savings, you would have been willing to do whatever it took, you stayed patient, and you laid the foundations. Those foundations allowed you to take advantage when opportunity came knocking on your door. Exactly. And that is a big reason why you guys were able to actually accelerate during that COVID period. It's been amazing listening to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on the podcast. Is there anything that is worth mentioning still before, like that I missed out? I think I've touched on everything. Is there anything worth that I've forgotten to talk about?
I don't know. It feels like it's weird talking about years and years of your life. You know, for us, it's almost like this one big memory. So I think we covered most of it. You know, for us, like I said, we probably haven't gone in this much detail before. So
well, you come on the No Limits podcast.
That's how it works.
I get the exclusives. You know, it's just how it is. The no hold bars. I get the juicy details. Thank you guys so much for coming on. And for anyone who is looking to follow the boys, I'm going to put their Instagram handles in the description. Feel free to send them a message and let them know how incredible they've been on this show. And for anyone who does seem and believe that they are that type of client who is best fit for them, hit them up. And if you're not there yet, keep them in mind for when you do get to this position. If an hour and a half of this podcast hasn't shown you that you're going to be in good hands, I don't know what will. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Leo. So much love and respect for
Likewise,
you,
brother.
Professionally
and
personally, man.
Let's
so
go.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thanks.
Awesome.
That was good.
Good stuff. Amazing. Honestly, that I love that so much. Honestly, I thought it was going to go good.
Yeah.
Not that good.
Yeah.
You know what?